you get done flushing out, go ahead and turn him inside out. Wash him in kind of tepid water and soap, a little bit of Dawn dish soap and some water. Suds it up. Wash him out real good, the skin side and the inside of him. Then wring him out real good. Roll him in a newspaper or paper towels, and that'll absorb a lot of the moisture. And then kind of blow dry him a little bit. Get him about to this state here. And this is what I did. I just got done blow drying him. And you can see that it's just about dry. But it's dry enough that we can mount. And we've got it here. What we'll do is we're going to get the form ready to go first. This is our squirrel form. We tube skinned him. So the back end is open. We're going to slide him down over the form and get him all the way down in here. And instead of cutting him up the back, we went ahead and did him tube style. The only thing with tube style is you have to cut the arms off most of the time. And what you do is you just go with a V under each arm, like so. You see that? And that'll kind of be a register when you put it back together. That'll go right in there. Put a little piece of wire through there or a pin to hold it in place while it's drying. We'll do that to both sides. Just go ahead and make like a little V notch on each one. Make sure you don't get cut here. Just like so. And that way you can always register that when you get it put back together. Okay? Most of the time on a squirrel, a lot of times the arms will be too big up around here. We'll put it in here and try it. This here, remember this one here was the right side of the squirrel. So what we'll do is we'll turn our squirrel skin inside out. What I want to do is I want to get my dry preservative now. Most of you will be using borax or whatever. So we're just taking a dry run here to see how it's going to work out. I use a dry preservative from a taxidermy house or borax. I don't have any borax left, so I'm going to use this stuff. I'm going to dry that up just a little bit because it's still wet. And that's what, on these type of hides here, these smaller animals, you can use dry preservative. So, we're just going to go ahead and give this a light dusting of preservative. Here's the arm here. And just rub it in. Your borax will be a little bit easier to work with. This here is kind of powdery. It's kind of like a crushed borax, I guess. Powdered borax. Okay, and we'll turn him over. We're going to get this arm out of here. We need to get that. Just go ahead and get something sharp in there and invert that. And you'll be able, come on Toby, leave the camera alone. I know. Anyway, we'll go ahead and sprinkle some of this on here. Get down your legs too. Make sure you get all the way to the feet. We'll do both feet. Now remember, this squirrel was a little bit busted up. He'd been hit by a car. So just get inside the feet a little bit. You roll it around the loose stuff, whatever. But get that a little... We got that pretty well covered with dry preservative now. And a little saw blades work good for this too, but I'm just going by what most people have. Now what they did on this farm is they left the teeth in right here. We're going to leave those if we can. Sometimes squirrels have their teeth showing, sometimes they don't. But anyway, you see how I cut this? right down through here, just like so, and you can pick that right out of there. You want to get it plenty deep because there is a lot of skin we got to tuck up in there. In fact, I'm taking these teeth out of there, and that way it'll be. I'm not going to have them showing. That's just too much trouble. They don't show all the time anyway. Anyway, you see how that is out of there now? And usually you have to cut back the jawline here a little bit more than what it is. Now we want to go right to the nose here. Just make a couple holes here because our nose is going to go right over that. And then I can see where if you get any seams on your animals, just go ahead and sand them down. We're going to take a look at that and see. Now I'm going to get the eyes. And we're going to set some eyes in here. I'm using about a 9mm eye. Dark brown, 9mm. I'm going to go ahead and put the clay in the eyes right here. Just kind of fill them till they're almost level, like so. You can leave a little extra around there. We can smooth that out. Okay, you see that? Now we're going to set our eyes in here. Just kind of set them in there carefully like so. See how that kind of pushed up a little eyebrow there? We'll leave that there. We'll do the same thing over here. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure you look at it from the top. You want to make sure your eyes are right across from each other. And this one is just right across from each other. And look at it from the front. And make sure that they're the same height. Up or down. Up or down. You take a look at it. If one's higher or lower than the other, go ahead and you can press it in and stuff like that. So you can adjust those. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to get this squirrel head up into here. We got to get past the legs that we put in, and we're just going to try to put him on there like a tube sock. And sometimes this can be a little difficult, but you see how we're doing it. We're just going to go ahead and move her down there. Sometimes you got to work it, your eyes will come out or something, and if they come out, you just put them back in. I'll show you how we do that. We're trying to get the arms down past the head, and what we're doing is we got the head right here. Here's the nose right here, the mouth. Okay, so we just keep kind of gently tugging, and try to get your elbows down. Just kind of keep moving. There we go. See how that kind of went down there? And now the arms almost registered right into place. You can feel them, so. Okay. There we go. We got our squirrel here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and see how the feet fit here. If they're too wide, then we're just going to go ahead and narrow them down. As you kind of see here, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and narrow everything down just a little bit. And that'll be, just take your knife. If you got a lot to take off, just go ahead and cut it off. And just round the edges. And I know that we got too much in here. That ankle will never fit. So we're going to file that right on out. I'll show you this when we get done, and that way you'll have a full. Another thing we want to do is we want to make us a little slot up inside the leg here. You go ahead and get that out. That way we can tuck some skin up in there. See that? You just kind of make that up in there, and we want to get this leg to go up to about right here. That way we can get this skin to go up over the top. I'll show you the before and after. I'll compare it to the other side. Now see how that leg is there? I narrowed it down. I narrowed the ankle right here. And now look at it compared to this side right here. Here we got a slot here that goes all the way up to here. You see that? And we don't have one here. The foot is wide. So we're going to try to get this the same way. So I'm going to go ahead and go up right here. Because a lot of times these forms, they're anatomically correct, but the anatomy doesn't fit your squirrel. So we want to go up here, so that leg, see you got a leg like a drumstick, goes right up to here. We got to get that so the skin goes up there also. Up. Look at there, I busted her off. Which is good, because that way you can see what happens if you get too rough with it. So we're just going to go ahead and narrow up the foot a little bit. You can do most of this with the knife. I want to get that just a little bit more there. So again, now you go ahead and smooth this down with a piece of sandpaper or rasp. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get just a little piece of wire here. If you bust a form like this, just cut yourself a piece of wire. Make a little U shape like so. Okay? We want to set this leg on here, just right where it's supposed to go. Now you can use hot melt if you want, but we aren't going to do that. We're just going to put this right through there. We want to hold this right in place. And that'll hold that leg in place, just like that. You can put some hot melt on there if you want, but we aren't going to do it. Okay. So here we go. We got the squirrel, we got the head, we got the arms on there. We're going to go ahead and get his legs sewn up and all that. And go ahead and see what the heck happened here to my one eye. Like I say, sometimes you lose your eyes on these and sometimes you don't. It's just a pain in the rear end sometimes. But we're going to go ahead and pull him out of there. See, both my eyes come off. That happens, so I got to search for my eyes. And there it is. So we'll do that after we put the skin back on him. So this is another dress rehearsal for him. Anyway, I got the arms registered in where they're supposed to go. See that? And what we'll do is when we get done sewing up the feet, we'll go ahead and get everything set and locked into place. You're going to need a little bit of clay for this foot here. What we're going to do is we're going to put this on here. See just where we sit with the foot. I got a little extra junk right here. Take your scissors or your knife. Cut it off. We'll see where we sit here with our foot. Just about like so. You see that? Okay. We're not going to put any clay in there because that's pretty good. What we're going to do is we're going to sew this up. Get into the pad there, and you might pull out of there sometime. What you do is you get it started. Just like so. Tie that end off. Okay, we got this ready to go. Put it on there. You see how that is? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just go underneath. Sew from the bottom side up. Go from the bottom of the skin, the raw side of the skin, up. Now if you think you can sew that while you're and then put it on the foot, it's usually doesn't work out too good that way if you sew it up and then try to fit it. For one reason or another, it just always seems to be the wrong size, because you're actually taking up a little more of the skin when you sew, so your fit isn't going to be real good when you do it that way. You can try it, you know, and then try to foot it, but slide the foot into it, but I haven't had too much good luck with that, doing it that way. We're just kind of, now just when you get that and it's a little bit tight, just kind of tease it over there. You don't have to pull real hard. So you got to remember he's going to be sitting on this foot too, so if you boogered it up or something, don't worry too much about it. That seam on the bottom is going to be hid, just like that. See, we got that foot pretty well. About 1/4 of an inch apart, your stitches. Small animals are a little tough to work with. I got a magnifying light over here I can use if I want. Glasses anyway. You see here how we're going up the back here? We want to get over the ankle there a little bit. Come in all just enough from the edge so you catch good skin. Okay? You gotta be pretty. Squirrels and chipmunks and that are they're tough to do. You gotta get the fingers and everything going the right way. Kind of pull your skin together here and that way. If it doesn't look like it's gonna fit good, just go ahead and squeeze it, and that'll stretch that skin a little bit. So we're just gonna go ahead and go right down the line here. You do get her loosely, leave her loose, and you can manipulate this a little bit here on the inside of this thigh. And then we can always go back. Otherwise, if you sew it real tight, you won't be able to manipulate that and get that skin out of there to get a stitch into it. I'll show you what I mean here. What I'm doing, I'm essentially doing this whole back side without tightening it up. I'm just getting the stitches in. And I'll show you why I'm doing that here. That's why you gotta have plenty of thread, and we want to, just like so. Okay, now I'm looking at that to see if I'm going to have enough to go up this into there, so I'm going to put one more stitch in there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these stitches and pull them by hand. I'll work my way down, just if you can see that. And what we're doing is we're tightening up our stitch here. See? As we go down, just keep pulling on it. We're going to tighten that stitch up, going down the back of the leg here. Takes a while. My fingers aren't as agile as they used to be. But we're getting there. You see that? Okay. Pull this right around. Then we got this right here. This skin, we're going to keep stitching it until we get, oh, let's see. Here's his butt. We're going to put it right here. And it'll all be stitched together here. And I'll show you what we'll do with the wire here for his tail. But we're going to finish up his feet here, okay? So we're just going to go ahead and go back over here and grab a stitch. like I say, 1/4 of an inch is good on these small things, unless you're doing one for a taxidermy show. Then you gotta be just a little bit more careful. Get this tightened up a little more here too. We're just stitching that up. And sometimes you make mistakes, don't let that upset you. What the heck, it's always, you can always fix them. I think anyway. The squirrel's got a tough skin too, let me tell you. I don't know if you eat squirrel or not, but you eat a squirrel, you try to skin a squirrel out for eating, you can get your work cut out for you. It's like that hide is glued on, compared to say like a rabbit or something like that. Okay, we're getting right down to the butt here. We're going to do 1/2 of this here. I'll get this up here and I'll show you what we'll do with that. Okay. Most times you sew them up pretty even. It comes out okay. Like I say, we're on the bottom side here, so we can hide about anything here. Okay, there we go. We got one side sewn up here, the foot and that, and it'll look like so when it sits down. Okay, doesn't look so good right now, does he? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to get our piece of wire for the tail. Now you can buy squirrel tails, stuff like that, but I wouldn't waste, you know, if you're just doing it for commercial work or whatever, don't worry about that. Okay. What we do want to do though is get this tail open and put some dry preservative down it. Just start pushing it down in there. Right down the hole. And then you just take your wire and just kind of push that down ahead of you. That dry preservative. Just kind of like push it right down ahead of you. And then push that wire out the bottom. Okay? Now what we're going to do, we want to take this wire from our tail, put it right in through the base of the tail here that they show. Now let me get it sharpened up here. Okay, go right in through the base. Don't run it through your hand, whatever you do. It's in there nice and tight. If you can run it through there, that's great. That way you can hook her in, but most time after, there it goes, I'll show you that. See how it'll come out right here? I'm going to go ahead and pull that through a little bit. And we'll just go ahead and make a bend on that and push that down in there, and that way we got that tail locked in. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go up this other side. We're going to go ahead and get our thread. I'm just going to show you the feet, doing this foot again, and that way you'll know how to do that and just finish sewing up. See how that goes down in there on that foot? Okay, sometimes you get a better fit than others, so I'm going to shave this just a little bit here. I can see that's going to make sure that we're going to fit. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and keep an eye on your thread. Don't pull too hard. Remember, go underneath. Flesh side to skin to fur side. It's a good way to remember it, I guess. Nice 1/4 inch stitches. See, that foot so darn good. Anyway, we're going ahead here, and we're still and get where you can see it. Get all this stuff here, my knife and that. Sometimes getting over the hock can be, right at the ankle, can be a little bit dicey. So, be a little bit careful. Do your sewing a little bit at a time. You can put your stitches closer together, and that'll help pull it a little bit tighter. See that? We got to get over that hock. We'll get over that, and we'll be in good shape. You can always take some off of that hock too. If it doesn't look like it's going to fit, just shave a little bit off of there. No problem. Nobody's going to see that anyway. And it's kind of a tedious part of the job, but you got to learn how to do it. The squirrel's a good project to start out on. They're relatively simple. I mean, you still got to do everything right, and you can apply your techniques to all your animals, all your 4-legged ones anyway, just on a bigger scale. It's allow yourself enough time to work in that. And squirrel's a good one to wet your feet, see if you want to do this stuff, I guess, for a living. You know, if you can't do a squirrel, it sure as heck not going to be any easier doing anything else. I mean, you start running into complicated mounts, and there are some. Okay, Anyway, we got the ankle here. We're all the way, we got the foot sewn. So I'm just going to finish sewing this up all the way around here. And I'll show you when we get it all sewed up, just right across. And then we'll come back and do. We're going to finish him up today. We're going to paint him and get him mounted on this log. Just paint around the eyes here. You can use a hand brush or an airbrush. The nose. Anywhere where there's a little white. The paws. Make sure you get both eyes. And inside the ears. Because on a black squirrel, when they dry, you'll see a little white on them. And then underneath the arm here, he was hit by a car, so I know he had some hair gone. So I'm going to just give the skin a light dusting there. That way you won't see that when it dries. Around his eyes, just blacken it a little bit. Wherever you see a little white showing. The bottom of his feet. See, like so. Under his neck. Get a little white under his arms, around his mouth, and anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to mount him on this log now. I'm mounting him here. I want him sitting. He's going to be eating a nut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put a brad right down through his foot here. You can use a pin or anything, or you can run wires out of the bottom of his legs. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a nail right down, a little brad, 1¼ inch brad or so, and just put it right down through his foot. Just drive her down flush, and the hair will cover the top of it. And if it doesn't, you just give it a little bit of a coat of paint, and that'll hide it. And what we want to do is we want to make sure he's sitting straight, so we got to move him just a little bit. So I'm going to put another one in here. Make sure it's a sharp one. I'll go ahead and get it started. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and coat those a little bit with paint to hide that. And we got ourselves a little bit of a squirrel going here. And what I'll do is take a Q-tip, just wet it a little bit, clean your eyes off, like so. And that way they'll be nice and shiny. And okay, pull your whiskers out a little bit. So your whiskers are out. And then, what I have here is I have a walnut. I'm going to put it right in his paws here. He's already eaten it, see? Looks like he's been chewing on that walnut. If your log is a little wobbly, you can go ahead and put another board underneath it here. But anyway, you ended up with your squirrel that's looks good. If you have any gaps around the eyes, just go ahead and put a little epoxy sculpt in there first. And then trim off your tag-in threads here. Wherever you have any tag-ins, just cut them off. And there you go, we got ourselves a nice squirrel here. You make a nice mount. It's a nice mount for a beginner to do. And there's your squirrel from start to finish. Not too bad, huh? Well, good luck if you do one. Thanks for watching.